Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm just checking that the audio is working and it seems to be my end, so hopefully it is for you guys as well. Oh, right. Welcome to another stream. Thank you to everyone for joining. Oh man, I've had way too much caffeine today and I will continue to consume more caffeine because at this point it's keeping me going. You know, you get those days. I was up late last night working on stuff and trying to learn some more Blender, and let's just say that I can get pretty into it, and then I just find it very difficult to stop and go to sleep, which is probably a pretty bad habit. But yeah, hello to everyone in the chat. How are you all doing? Sema, Aureen's Concepts, Mohammed. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Junaid, I don't know what that means, but hi. Mike Phelps. Missed the entire last week. Good to be back. I know we missed you, Mike. Where were you, man? Hopefully doing something especially fun. Hello, Anime Guy. Welcome, 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 welcome. Right. I feel like there were things I was supposed to mention, but they've totally gone out of my head. Thursday stream can't be on Thursday because I've got my boys. Poppy, my partner's going away this week with her friends somewhere to do girly things or whatever. So I've got the kids. I might be able to do it Friday morning instead. I've got to wait and see. I've got to drop the little one off at school and then Zoom here. And then so we might be able to do it Friday morning, which I kind of hope we can because I've been playing around with generative fill in Photoshop recently. And it's absolutely hilarious. It's just so like AI is pretty divisive at the moment, right? It's a very controversial topic. But every time I use generative fill, I get something that is mind-blowingly brilliant or absolutely hilarious. And so whichever way it goes, I always end up with a smile on my face. So I think we definitely have to do some generative fill stuff because it would be hilarious. It would just be a lot of fun. Wafa says, what are we going to learn today? Nothing. No, that's not true, actually. We're going to be critiquing other people's work, work that has been submitted by you guys many, many moons ago. And I'm going to be giving my input and hopefully kind of sharing a bit of insight into that. Also, yes, I knew there was something I was supposed to mention. Submissions are open for the thing, design review. Yeah, so what I'm going to do... Let me find the link. Let me get the right link as well. This one. I think this is the right one. Okay. So what we're going to do is to avoid this massive build-up of work that I can't get to, I'm going to open up submissions for a week. So there's the link. It's in the description of the stream as well. We'll open up submissions for a week. Submit your work, whatever it is, design related. And I think then after 7 days, I'll then... close that link down, and that will, I think, most likely give me enough stuff to review for like the next month easily. Usually I get quite a lot of submissions, so I think that way it just kind of ensures that I'm more likely to get through everything. Hey Reese, how you doing? Had the family in town, almost joined the stream from the car once, but kept myself in check. Good man, yeah. I find it really hard to kind of, you got to get that sort of work-life balance. Although that would have been dedication. Sorry, family. I just got to go and watch this stream. Yeah. Generative fill is insane. It is. It is especially insane. In fact, hang on. Let me show you this. I got to show you this just before we get started. Hang on. Let me just log into that platform, Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called now. I've got no idea. So I was playing around with generative fill the other day, and I ended up making this. Just honestly, don't ask. Yeah. I was trying to remove my arm. I wanted that arm removed because I was trying to crop in on the thumbnail for my latest video. So I kept highlighting the hand and part of the arm and saying remove. I tried it with nothing and it just kept giving me like a weird different hand. So I just tried to remove it and it then put a pigeon or a bird or something. It gave me a bird hand instead. So yeah, that's why I think generative fill could potentially be a lot of fun because I didn't expect that. Pidgey arm. And that's the thing. Stoyan says it blends perfectly. It does. It did a really good job of giving me a pigeon hand. So yeah, it's a weird one, you know. And sorry, my chair's caught on something. That's why I'm fidgeting around. Anyway, right, let's get to design review because I've got a haircut in just over an hour. And first up, we're going to do ice cream. Okay, we've done a bit of ice cream on the channel recently, so let's. I couldn't see. Did the pigeon get blended tattoos on its head? If so, I'll have to have a look at that again later. I don't know. But when I did try to recreate my arm, it did give me other arms as well. And it did actually try and sort of fudge in some tattoos, which was interesting. Okay. Oh, there you are. Sorry, Photoshop. I was ignoring you. Okay. The ice cream parlor. This is an interesting one. Typically, I would say with a logo, don't add your glows and your neons to it. There's just a whole bunch of reasons why I think the design should kind of stand on its own first. If you had like let's say a neon sign, or you wanted to have like a version that did have some more realism to it, that you might use in certain places, you know, like on maybe a sign, for example, you might not want it just to be super clean. You might want to add the neon, add the glow, a bit of punch to it. Or you might actually have this as a neon sign outside. But generally, I would probably, and I don't know, maybe this is my style. What do you guys think? And adding glows and things in logos. I think maybe my style, I'm a bit more biased to kind of having it a bit cleaner. I quite like the shape of the ice cream for the most part. There are some really nice curves in here. Like this one here is beautiful. Beautiful. When I say nice curve, I mean a nice graduation from thin to thick. It like graduates at a consistent rate. Let me just kind of spotlight that here. Hang on. Let's get the pen out and so I can draw. So you can see this curve here is beautiful. It just graduates really nice from thin, gradually gets thicker. To contrast that, this one down here, not so much. Starts off thinner, gradually gets thicker. We get this little bulge around here and then comes in quite sharp at the end. And again, maybe that's just me. I know illustrative stuff is kind of, you can get that a lot more, but I don't like it. Ruto says the font though. Yeah, we're going to get to the font. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. So I feel like actually something like this, if you got rid of the glow, thickened up the lines, tightened up these curves a bit, you could actually have a mark here that's quite nice and quite minimal. Something else I would also do is I would use, and this is a pretty I think underrated trick. Like sometimes I'll draw curves. So I use the pen tool, we've covered the pen tool, that kind of thing. But oftentimes there's just no need to try and draw them. Just use the curves of shapes. So you can see there, boom, that curve is done. Bring it over here. We've got this part of the curve done as well, using the same shape as well, so there's a nice consistency. Boom, down here. Just same shape, but make it smaller. Let's try that same one again. Yeah, there you go. So you could see, and this can get a bit crazy on the eyes, so I would personally do this kind of 1 or 2 shapes at a time. I find it much easier to process that way. But this is one way that basic shapes can be just incredibly useful. Like you don't even need to go golden ratio with this kind of thing. You know, you just using basic shapes can get you some much smoother curves. Obviously, we don't need the whole thing. So for this one, for example, and we'd usually be doing this in Illustrator, but you know, I can just go here and get rid. And that's that curve done. That's that. You can't really see it because it's yellow, but that's one curve done and it's nice and smooth. And then I can go up here and just get rid. Use basic shapes to construct some of your curves as well. It's something that I didn't do for a long time. And I see a lot of people in these design reviews who try to kind of do their curves manually. And, you know, you can do it, and some logos and some designs you get away with it, especially the more illustrative stuff. But yeah, you're also asking for problems as well. This font will give me 3 days of nightmares. That's very precise. Exactly 3 days. What's up, Dansky? Already submitted my personal logo project. Amazing. Excellent. Submitted my Hulk banner. Not sure if logos only, but let's see. This ought to be interesting. Yeah, just submit anything design related, graphic design, web design, logos, branding, that kind of thing. There aren't really any limits, I suppose. I think the more graphic design stuff, I'll be more useful in the feedback I provide. I think the more illustrative stuff, like really kind of proper illustrations, good to look at and it's fun to critique and have an opinion on, but I'm not an illustrator. So there's things that a professional illustrator would look at and probably spot better than me, but hey, I can still have an opinion. You can draw lines with the pen and then fill the path. Yes, that is a good point. Designing on a black background as the main logo isn't that helpful. Yeah, it's difficult. It depends on the use, you know. It depends on the use and the branding. You know, I could see this being on like a sign outside an ice cream parlor. I can actually imagine the kind of signage. And the pink is a nice pink, but yeah, we're going to get to this font. It's not a good choice. It's definitely got some character. It does have character. And I think the word ice cream. Oops, hang on. Let's get back in Photoshop. The word ice cream in big letters, it kind of gets a pass. In fact, I feel like if you actually were to take the word ice and stick it on top of cream and stack them like that, with that thick stroke around the edge, I think you'd get away with it actually. Even though it's not a font I would ever use, probably, I think you'd get away with it. The problem is they've tried to use the same font for the word the and parlor, and I think that is where it looks pretty bad. I mean, if I wish I knew what font this was, because I would actually just try and mock this up to kind of show you what I mean. Is there any way I can grab it? Let's have a go. I'll have a go and see if I can. Oh. Let's see if I can try and be a bit more useful here than just waffling on. There we go. Change that to screen. Obviously it's not gonna blend, but I'll see if I can show you what I mean. I'll see if I can show you what I mean. Alright, let's brushy brush that away. Meh. Yeah, so I think that for me is already, we're going to have to just ignore the ice cream for now and focus on the text. That for me is not as bad. It's really not as bad. And, you know, you could go with a sans serif font. You could pick another font. I think the font needs to be a bit simpler. What was it? The ice cream parlor. Parlor. Right. Okay, so how could we do this? Let's scale this up. Well, first of all, that's a bit chunky. We've got a nice sort of strangely elegant font there. We could go with the same color. Let's start with the same color for now. We'll see how we get on. Whoa. And then what was that weight? What was that weight? Medium. So let's see if we can kind of nestle this in somewhere. You know, central alignment would be nice. I think it would look good. But we've got this R here with this big old flick coming down, which does scupper that a little bit. So I could try and nestle the word parlor in there. But then the problem is everything's central. Parlor's kind of hanging off to the right. So the whole thing, at least to me, doesn't feel balanced. One way you can kind of get around that is you can actually offset this to the left. And this is a tricky word. And I don't know if you get away with that. You could try and put it down here, which could actually work quite nicely because it reads the ice cream parlor. It reads correctly. You know, if I were to stick it over here, you'd be reading it ice the cream parlor, which isn't ideal. What do you guys think? Do you think, I mean, obviously up here would be ideal because you're then reading top to bottom. Could you get away, maybe if I make it a bit bigger, with having it alongside? We could make it a little bit thinner as well. Something like that and kind of tuck it in there. Oh, it's sticking out a little bit there. And we could make these different sizes. You know, you could really kind of bring the word the down smaller than the parlor. But I only really want to introduce more font sizes and more font styles if I have a reason to do so. I don't want to just do it for the sake of it. I'm very logical and very practical in my design style. So if I can get away with using a consistent font style and go, hey, yep, this looks good, that's what I'm going to do. And actually, I think this sans serif font probably isn't the right font choice. I think I need a good rounded font. What's it called? Archiform Sans? Maybe. I need like a sans serif font that's nice and rounded. Maybe just Helvetica. Oh, that's a bit rubbish. We'll go with that. We'll go with Archiform Sans. You know, having those kind of, sometimes those fonts are nice UI fonts, but this has a lot of personality. So to just stick in a regular old sans serif font, I don't know, it feels like it's not really kind of clicking for me. Whereas these kind of rounded corners, they just add a little bit more personality to it. And the rounded corners on this text matches the rounded everything on this font. So, you know, might not be perfect, but for me, they kind of hang together a bit better. And for me, at least, that kind of hangs together a little bit nicer. So if I kind of just go back to the original, if I've got it. Let's get rid of all my graffiti. Yeah, so that was the original. You can see quite, you got a big gap here. The text kind of was, yeah, so they sort of tried to do something similar. They tried to nestle the word parlor in there with that dip on the R, but it just didn't feel balanced. It felt completely off. And then this is kind of what I've done with it. Just tightened it up, brought it in, but still tried to create some kind of balance. Put light blue or mint green as the background. That would work. Possibly, yeah. There's a few dessert places in Bristol, city near where I live, that does use the whole kind of black and pink thing, and it does look pretty good. The pink is admittedly very punchy. It's a lot punchier than this pink, which you could kind of play around with, making that pink a little bit more punchy, but they do seem to be quite nice colours for a dessert place. Definitely stands out amongst all the other restaurants and shops and things. The last two letters looks like someone bent over. Oh, these ones. Yeah, or a set of headphones. Or, oh, God, I can't unsee that now you've said that. Little black dots between the characters. Just submitted my 75th anniversary logo design. Amazing. Awesome. Can I show you graphic motion designs for your input? Yeah, go for it. You know, as I said earlier, there's probably things that a motion graphics designer would be able to point out more than me, but I can still look at it and critique it for what it is with the experience that I do have. But anyway, yeah, I think conceptually this one is, you know, with a bit of tightening up, I think you've got this bit here. I think, of course, we could center that now within the ice cream and then redraw these curves. You could probably maybe do it with a fewer curves as well. Thicken up that stroke weight, keep it nice and rounded at both ends. So you're then kind of playing on this style here. This is a very nice style. And I feel like this kind of font is actually growing on me. It's really growing on me in a weird way because I would never normally use this font. But I feel like you could take the character from that font and bring that into the ice cream graphic at the top. And I think it would, yeah, if you could create a bit more synergy between the mark and the logo type, I think you could actually have that ice cream swoosh on top and it would actually look pretty good. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that one. Right, boom. Let's move on. What do we got next? Oh, this is cute. We'll do this one next. This is really cute. Vanilla Hub. Now, this is a weird one. These characters are really, really cute, and I love the way they've been drawn. They very much, for the most part, do what I mentioned earlier with the using basic shapes. You know, here you can see this is an ellipse, and they've just kind of trimmed that bottom. Again, we've got the ellipses here. We've got a triangle. They've got a semicircle. You can see here, this would have been part of an ellipse as well. Just two ellipses overlapping to create the shape of the head. And then this bit, as you can see, this is where they pen tooled it. Or I think they've done something that there's a kink here. Look at that. You see the kink? It stands out to me like a sore thumb. So I can see which bits they've used the basic shapes on. This bit here, they've either tried to pen tool it or not kind of tidied it up as tightly as everything else. And that's kind of how I design a lot of the time. I'll use the basic shapes where I can. If I need a custom shape, then I'll draw it. If I tried to create all of this with the pen tool, I would just be making my life so much harder, you know. There's no need for me to kind of be drawing this shape with the pen tool, because you're always going to, even if you're super talented and looking at it by eye, it's perfect, you know. Sometimes it's better just to, instead of trying to eyeball it, create a circle, boom, cut the top off. Okay, that circle's a little bit too high. And then we've got a bunch of tools we can use to make cuts. So I could, you know, cut with the scissor tool. Smart guides, line it up, boom, trim it down. You know, one of these is pen tooled, one of these is absolutely perfect from a mathematical point of view, and that sort of precision. It doesn't take me any longer to do that. Not really, maybe a few seconds, but you get perfect precision, and that's something that I see. And you know, if you follow these streams regularly, you'll see a lot of designers kind of make that mistake. They pen tool when they should be using other basic shapes and tools to get a much better result. Yeah, they're just really cute, really simple, lots of personality. I love them. I'm not as much a fan of the font. I mean, as a font, I do like it. Looks it does look pretty cool. These are super cute, and this just, I don't have any context for what this is for, but the cute rounded nature of these characters, there's a lot of round, you know, there's no hard edges whatsoever, and then you've got this very bold, very masculine, authoritative font, Vanilla Hub. I don't know, what do you think? There seems to be like a mismatch for me between the font. Paul Hits TV not resonated with the font. Yeah, like I like it as a font, I would use it, it looks cool, you know, I like the way the kind of the L slants and the A matches that, but it doesn't seem to fit the cuteness of the illustrations. Yeah, they are really cute. The animals are quite good now, though. Yeah, they are. They're really, really sweet. Maybe an outline would work better. Okay, possibly. I do have a vector file, so we could actually try that. Could be naughty and try and round the font. Okay, so use this sparingly because it doesn't always work, but this is what I just want to demonstrate the difference between this. So we've outlined it, and okay, fine. I think that's always going to fit a bit more because why is it going to fit more? Because these are of course made of outlines. Sorry, my brain just shut down for a second then. But if I round this ever so slightly, I know it's a bit cheeky doing it like this to a whole font because some letters will round differently to others, but if I do it a little bit, just to show you, just by adding that little bit of roundedness to the edges along the bottom as well, immediately just makes the font feel a little bit more playful. You know, this is very kind of hard-edged, strong Vanilla Hub. And this just feels a little bit less of that. I mean, obviously you can round it too much. So I feel like a rounded version of this font, even if I make it... Do you see what I mean? Yeah, something like that. Let's just get rid of the yellow, because I think that's causing a bit of distraction as well. So let's make it a little bit smaller. And then go undo that and make it a little bit bigger. Maybe not so big that it's coming out the end, but just a nice sort of size. I mean, yeah. I think we'd need to I would probably space these letters further apart. I think this isn't a font actually, so I can't. No, I'd have to do that manually, because the reason I would space the letters apart and increase the tracking overall is because you do end up with that stroke. You get some letters thinner. You get these thick lines down some, and some have gaps, and there's a lot of inconsistency there. If I stick the stroke on the inside, it doesn't look as good, but you can see you get more gaps. So what I would do is I wonder if I can just cheat this really lazily. No, definitely not. Oh well, it was worth a go. Yeah. Let's just do some speed kerning. This will look awful. Oh no. Oh dear. Right, hang on. Turn off my smart guides because they're just... It's trying to snap to everything. Will you calm down, Illustrator? Speed kerning. Yeah, obviously that that kerning is questionable. But that's what I would do, is I would try and space it out a little bit more like that. And then, whoa, N, where you going? Where you going? It's so hard trying to do this quickly when you're an absolute perfectionist. Yeah, just to space them apart. We've still got this issue over here. So that is still something I would need to address. How I would do that, not sure. That's a difficult one. Another way would be to have the word hub on a separate line, make the word hub a little bit bigger, perhaps, or just reduce the stroke weight. But immediately you can see that if I go back to the original, I need a bigger canvas. And we could introduce color for sure. There's no reason why it needs to be black and white. But yeah, as you said, Mike, yeah, strange juxtaposition between the character style and the text, but also that yellow box is totally unnecessary. You could integrate the yellow into the characters and maybe make, you know, the dog's nose or his ears, just certain parts that yellow, and then integrate that yellow into this word here, vanilla hub. So let's just quickly, whoa, calm down. Where's me live paint bucket doodah? Here we go. And color, no, color, there we go. Select, hang on. Oh, it's so fiddly. Unnecessarily fiddly. Right, there we go. All right, I know what I'm doing. Let's just try and, I mean, this might look terrible, but yeah, just, I don't know, you know. I think color definitely does help it. I think that the characters are very, very cute. Black and white is fine, but I think adding, and it works in black and white, but adding a splash of color is quite nice. I would actually be tempted to add another color as well, maybe a secondary color, and have that as the word hub. I'm not entirely sure what color would pair nicely with this vanilla color. Would actually, that is a tricky one actually. What color would pair nicely? Let's get our little color doodah out. Ooh, yeah, a blue or a turquoise would be quite nice. Caffeine works. Amen. Dear designer, hey, welcome. How are you doing? I'm fantastic. How are you? Thank you for joining. I'm doing very well. The font is too bold. By the way, is that a logo or... Yeah, I think it's a logo. I don't have any more context beyond what you're seeing. Neo says, how I can't send my design for review. There is a link in the video description of this stream, so you can submit your work. Oh, hang on, I think there is. Let me just check. Did I put that there? Yes, there is. There's a link in the video description where you can submit your work. Also, for those of you who don't know, I've launched my Adobe Illustrator Masterclass. It will teach you everything I know about Adobe Illustrator. There is a link, and if you, where is it? If you sign up to my mailing list, you get a code for 15% off the course price. So there is a link to sign up as well. It's definitely worth checking out. Of course, I would say that, but yeah, it's a course. I'm very proud of it, and I literally downloaded my entire brain into a course. So if you want to learn Illustrator in its entirety in a matter of weeks and months rather than spending years of your life doing it like I did, then there's the course. Yeah, a pink, maybe a pink, a blue, a pink. I think it kind of needs to be a, oh, that's nice. It kind of needs to be a muted color like this. I want to say sort of pastel-ish. Like if I crank up the saturation, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think you could get a nice contrast between a punchy color and a less punchy color, but something like that does feel quite nice. Of course, it's difficult to pick definitive colors because we don't actually know what this is for. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful, seeing me do this kind of thing, because I'm actually having a lot of fun right now doing this, taking people's work and just being able to kind of just show you what I would do in a very short amount of time to kind of just put my spin on it. As you can see, I get lost in these. And pink is probably quite a good shout because noses and tongues of animals are often pink. So that is a good call. It does look very ice creamy. So that's kind of the before and that's the after. And whilst I would still pick a different font. You can see that very quickly we've just rounded the corners off on that font, made it a bit more playful, introduced color in a way that I think just has a little bit more meaning rather than kind of just plonking down a big yellow box. And the thing with this, the thing that's really nice about this, hang on, let me just expand it. I'll show you another trick. If you want to create patterns in Illustrator, you'll like this. If I can ungroup everything. There we go. We got dog, a rabbito, have la cat, and teddy bear. Yeah, so this is really cool. Let's go and stick these over here, make them smaller. And it's nice to have these for a brand to have something like this, because if I just, not sure how I'd need to arrange this. I might have to mess around with that, but we can actually repeat this in a grid. This is the much more easy to use updated pattern maker. So think of it as a pattern maker. You do get a bunch of settings over on the right hand side, so you can kind of you can flip certain rows and columns, and yeah, you can kind of do that. It makes the whole thing just a little bit less uniform, and you can choose the grid type as well. But yeah, the first one's fine, I think, and it's just a really quick and easy way to infinitely create a pattern. So I could then use that as a watermark, and so those characters do work really nicely there. So let's say I had I don't know, a poster or something. I'm working on something and I need a background. I've got the characters there. It could be some packaging or some inner wrap. You know, I don't really know what this brand is, but I could also just bring the opacity down. We'll go for like 10%, and then I've got like a really nice backdrop that I could use for something as well. I could even make it more subtle than that, but it just, these characters do give you a lot to play with. Reese says, I was just going to say pastel for sure. Yeah, I think you can go either way with it. You could have the kind of yellowy pastel color and then have it with something very bold to contrast. But with the cuteness of the characters, my inclination is to kind of keep it, you know, light, more desaturated, a lot more fun. Perhaps make the dog nose and the hamster nose the same pink. I think they are all the same pink. Wait, hamster? Do we have a hamster? Which one of these is a hamster? Is that a hamster or a bear? I thought it was a bear. Oh, maybe it's a hamster. Actually, yeah, that probably is hamster. I thought it was a teddy bear. Wouldn't it be better if the animals had pink noses? Yes, they do have pink noses. Oh, apart from... Oh. Derp. Okay, he's got a pink nose and a pink tongue. There we go. I see what you're saying. Ralph, yo, welcome. So yeah, quick recap, and then we'll move on. Before, after, and then using kind of this graphic here as a pattern, or these graphics, I should say, as a pattern. Yeah, and on the pattern, I would probably color the animals white, perhaps, or just make the background a different color. Oh, there's loads you could do with that, and it's because those illustrations are so well done as well. It does actually make it look nice as a pattern. Very, very tight, very, very well executed, apart from that kink in the dog's ear. That one little kink. That's the kind of thing that would drive me absolutely nuts. Anyway, Vanilla Hub. Let's save this file. I'll save this file because I don't know. Maybe I'll post it somewhere later. Right, cool. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, I've got to show you this one. I missed this before. I'm really sorry, Graphic Up. I missed this before. This was really cool. For you, Dansky, the blue and the orange. Because the branding for my channel used to be blue and now it's gone orange. Daringly adventurous, nurturing spirits, kindling yearnings. I don't know. I thought this was really, really cool. But it isn't exempt from being critiqued. You submitted it, which is very kind of you. But I'm going to critique it as well. This is obviously a message for me, so let's remove that. And well, I'm orange these days, so let's focus on the orange one. As much as the blue one does look cool. So let's check that circle first. I'm gonna pee the detail police again. I'm going to check that this circle better flow through. Oh, there's going to be trouble. Okay, good. Right, the circle, that is a circle that's been cut. I'm going to assume the same for the background. Right, first thing I would do, and I like this, a vector file as well, because I can play around with it. Let's do two versions, actually. Is I would move this up a little bit. I think the text here is okay. The problem with this text is it's all capitals, which makes it a lot harder to read, especially at this size. If this were going to be a badge, you know, the logo and the Dansky name is too big, the text is too small. So I'm going to remove it. And then because I've removed it, consequently, I'm going to remove these two lines as well. What else would I do? I'm just going to do this real quick. Do I like these inside circles? Don't know if I do, actually, because they're two different sizes. I would like them if they were the same sizes, but they're two different sizes because the tagline was there, so you couldn't kind of cut it equally. So let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of them. And now we've got two halves that aren't equal. So I'm actually going to redraw that circle. Flip it round. Let's get the word Dansky in the middle. And I'm kind of just doing this off the cuff. Like I haven't seen this apart from like 5 minutes before the stream. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I want to create a cut there. So let's centrally align all of this, select everything, and then select minus front from the Pathfinder panel. Direct selection tool, I can select that bottom point and hit delete. Bottom point, hit delete, and then just nudge that up into the center. Yeah, the gradient's cool. I could yeah, I mean, you could keep the gradient. Let's just one color it for now. This is kind of much more similar to my branding, the orange that I use now. It's actually very similar. Not quite, but very, very close. And the text. Yeah, it's a cool font. It kind of reminds me... Does it remind me of one of my old logos? I can't remember, actually. But first thing I notice, and if you're regular to these streams, you know exactly what I'm going to say here. These cuts, they are inconsistent. They are inconsistent. This one here is thinner than this one here, ever so slightly. This one here is definitely not the same size. You probably could get away with that if it was intentional, because this doesn't look like a mistake. It is clearly intended to be a wider gap, perhaps to kind of maintain the integrity of the letter A. But this one here, And that one there, I can tell you there's a few pixels in it. Even these two, that width there and that width there, they're not the same. There's probably a pixel or two in it, but details, details. And this one here, so, and this one is gradually getting thicker. So the cuts that you're making are gradually changing in size. And, you know, we just need to kind of make that a little bit more consistent. One way you can do that is just work with lines. This is what I do. I work with a black line. Let's say I'm going to go with 5 pixels, right? Let's connect that back up. And let's connect this one up as well. So these ones, they haven't been cut yet. What I would do is when I'm experimenting, I would just make that, well, I'd start with it black just to get it in the right place. Make sure I get the angle nice. You know, boom, there we go. Then let's do this one as well. So I'm not drawing new rectangles. I'm just using a single line with a stroke weight, and then I can make sure that stroke weight is always going to be the same. So what I would do is kind of dot these lines around and then turn them white. Now that width is always going to be the same then. And of course, you know, you can't leave the file like that. So at the end, I would go and expand it and then select everything. And it's complicated, so I can't. I'm going to shape builder tool this bit out. So just Alt or Option, drag through, and then knock it out that way. Only once I'm like fully committed that this is the right way to go. But that's how I work. In that way, don't use rectangles and boxes, use lines. Just because you can have a consistent width and then you can change that width if you want. Yeah, this type of font as well, the S, you know, normally kind of the S would kind of curve a little bit above that cap height and below the baseline, but because of this type of font and the S being styled in this way, I think it makes sense to maintain that height. The problem is you've got an A, and the A is a triangle, so it's kind of like if you took the A, I'll just show you. If you took the A and you technically made it the same height as everything else, right? Like that. You can see the A looks too small. It looks dinky. So that is the problem. So I think sometimes in typography, certain letters do extend beyond the X height, the cap height, or the baseline. I think in this example, it's a bit of a weird one. This is where optical alignment comes in. There are no, or optical design, I should say. There are no real blueprints for this stuff. Sometimes you've just got to judge it by eye. So I think I would probably just go a little bit above all of the other letters. So before, you can see it was kind of sticking out quite a lot, really poking up. Now it's just a little bit less so. And again, even though this is technically centered, because the D occupies a much larger space and the Y actually kind of comes in quite a lot in its shape, it looks, technically it's centered, going from this outermost point to this outermost point here, but it actually doesn't look centered. And this is where optical alignment does come in. So you'd have to manually kind of adjust this to accommodate for the shape of the Y and the shape of the D, because they're very different letters. If I had two Ds, one at the beginning and one at the end, and my name was Dansky or something, it would be very easy because the D occupies the same amount of shape as a character. Do you know, I might even be tempted to bring that down, maybe. I don't know, I'm just kind of playing around now. Just playing around. Yeah, I'd probably bring that in, actually. Let's just... Whoa, whoa, whoa. Easy there, rectangle. Probably just slap in a bit of white. Whoa. Just to cut those straight. Like that. And apart from those tweaks to the text, that is probably how I would approach something like this. So I don't want to seem ungrateful. I'm incredibly grateful for Graphic Up taking the time to create this. Whoa, that is the haircut alarm. That is my 5-minute warning. But yeah, that's at least how I would approach something like this. That is kind of my, I guess, more simple, minimal take on it. I'm going to save all these. Maybe I can post them on social media and make use of them. If the background is black, the orange color would look more vivid. Absolutely, yes. I think you're right. It would really kind of stand out. Sometimes the background isn't always going to be black, though. That's the only thing. Citizen F1 looks like the London Underground. Yeah, yes, it's very similar. Very similar. If I went red and blue, it would be almost the same. Dear designer, the logo feels like it was made in 2016. I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it is exactly, but there is like a slightly sort of dated feel to it. The bottom left of that A not matching the cut through line above it. It also looks fairly large compared. Oh yeah, of course. Sorry, I'm playing catch up with the chat. Hello, late but made it. Missed a lot. We did some cute animal icons. Well, we didn't do them actually. I just took what someone else had done and tried to take credit for it. Good call. I think it's called overshooting in typography. Yes, you're right. I think it is actually. I need like I think I made a video on all the typographical terms. I need that pinned up somewhere because I know what they are, but I just forget what they're called. Tommaso, hello Dan. Hello. Look at the Starfield logo. Oh yeah, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? Your logo feels like it's in a CS:GO game. Nissan, yeah. Dansky model. Oh god, a Dansky model of a car. Curvy round the edges, but it'll get you where you need to go. What does that even mean? No idea. Next! I've got a few minutes and I've got to run off for a haircut. Right, ooh, Photoshop, okay. This is from Dilshin. So this is the before. This is some book cover art. And here is the after. And this is pretty cool and slightly terrifying as well. But I love seeing the before and after like this. You can kind of see the basic setup. What do we got? A bunch of skeletons on poles, which is it's pretty grim actually, but you know, the end result looks pretty cool. We've got a tree in the foreground, another tree over here to the side, misty background, and a lady in a dress holding what looks to be like a rather fancy letter opener, if I'm honest, but you know, demon. And actually, this is a really good this is a really good way to work with this kind of stuff. Don't start applying effects. Do this. That's why I like these before and afters so much. This is exactly how you should be working to get results like that. Compose your scene first. Don't go near blending modes. Don't go near effects. Don't start balancing colors and exposures and any of that stuff. Just build the scene. Cut the images out well, or just rush them, whatever. Just dump the images in and compose your scene so it looks like this. Once you've got your composition done, like of course you can add stuff to it, but get like 80-90% of your composition done. Your foreground elements, background elements, your subject, you know, portrait, landscape, rule of thirds, all that stuff. Just compose everything you want and have like a vision for that piece of work. Then you can start balancing the exposure. Because actually once you kind of set everything up like this, you need to go through and adjust the exposure of, and I would do that first, of each layer in this scene. So the skeletons in the background, they might be darker. This element in the foreground, as you can see, the tree here is a lot darker as well. because it's in the foreground. Then you go through and balance your exposure. Once you balance the exposure, then you balance the color. As we can see, the background is very, very cold and very blue, very foggy, and her skin tone is a lot warmer. So we need to kind of balance those. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. They're like this at the minute. We need to balance them so the colors actually look like they fit in the scene. If you do this, what you're seeing here, and then you balance exposure for everything, and then you balance color for everything, and you do it correctly, just those three things, your work will look infinitely better. Take it from someone who did it wrong for a very long time, got carried away, blending modes. Oh, I'm just going to change the color, tweak, and I got myself in a right old mess. And then you end up with something that doesn't look great. And then you start again and do it properly. And yeah, so have that kind of process of composition, exposure, balancing the colors. That's like one thing with a lot of photo manipulation stuff that I still see people get wrong. And in fact, you know, go back a couple of years, I was still getting it wrong as well. I was making my life so much harder than it needed to be. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a video or something that I could put together to kind of go through that process, because I can show you the work that that didn't follow that process, and I can show you the work that did follow it. And the difference is honestly it's night and day. Sister, calm down and calmly put the knife in my hand down. A red filter overall will work hell better. Yeah, I do kind of, I mean, it's utterly terrifying, but like, yeah, it's a really good use of highlights. We've got these swooshes here. You can see there's some highlights on the skeletons as well. This stuff does take a long time, but it does make a massive difference. Some highlight or spillover where the light's kind of hitting the tree. Yeah. And I think most of the work has probably been on the character here. You know, she's got all the crazy energy, and then you've got to add the blue or the lighting coming off the energy. So you have to add blue up here and on the hair, around the horns as well. Like, yeah, the lighting is pretty tough. I think you'd probably see a bit more blue perhaps coming off onto the hairs, and I think the hairs, yeah, with a bit more blue. I think on Dilshin's other work he had more green in the hair and it looked great. So I think adding more blue highlights into that hair would look good. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, really, really cool piece. Right, I've got one more that I'm gonna speed through super quick because I really, 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 really have to go and get a haircut now. Get the old beard trimmed. Some zombies will help, don't you think? Yeah, possibly. Blue does work, honestly. Yeah, I do quite like the blue. I think you could go red and have it sort of hellish. It's a bit predictable though, isn't it? Like, you know, demon, ooh, red, hell is red. I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to mix it up. Lull you in with that lovely blue, and then stab you with the letter opener. Right, Bright Eyes, Event Horizon BT. Don't know what that means, but the company is called Bright Eyes. So we've got a letter B. Okay, I understand this. We've got a letter E. Yeah, I can sort of see that. There's kind of an E there. The mark is like that. And I understand the methodology behind it. And it's clever, but when you turn the mark up, no one's going to see the B and the E. That's the problem. So, you know, I think it's good as a mark. I think it's good. It looks tight. It looks symmetrical. It looks like the execution, as simple as it is it's done well. You know, but if you hadn't have, if you'd have just showed me this without any context, which is usually what a customer will see. They won't get like an explanation of, well, the logo is a B on its side and da-da-da-da-da. You know, this is what someone's going to see. I would not have known that that is a B and an E. I would not have known. Yeah, maybe I could see the B on its side if I were looking at this and suddenly like fell over. But I wouldn't see the E. The E is like, it's a bit of a stretch. It really is. Is that a problem? I don't know. You know, there's only so much context I've got here for what the business actually is. So beyond what I'm seeing, I can't really kind of give you too much more beyond that. Perhaps given the business, it doesn't need to be obvious. Maybe the whole sort of crown shape that looks like a crown to me. Maybe that crown is more relevant and reflective of what the business is, and the fact there's a B and the E in there is like a nice little. It's like a subtle nod. You know, the end user, the consumer, customer, whatever, they don't need to see the B and the E, but we know it's there, and it's just a nice kind of a little Easter egg of sorts. The crown does exactly what it's meant to. Like I say, I don't know the context unless I'm being really kind of being a bit dense and I'm just completely missing it. But this is a great piece. Would be fun to do a session to walk through something like this. Oh, the photo manipulation. Yeah, we could do that. I love photo manipulation. Those videos I do on YouTube don't perform very well, which is really annoying because I love making that kind of stuff. But it does take a long, long time. And people don't seem to watch them, unfortunately. So I don't know. Maybe there's kind of a session we could do, something different or separate, where people who want to do photo manipulation, they can come and do some of that. This looks like a paper boat I used to make as a child, in my childhood. Oh yeah, like an origami doodah. I see a fancy mail icon. Yeah, so people are seeing a lot of different things. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. And it looks good as what I'm seeing visually, but it's difficult to kind of critique any more beyond that. You know, sometimes I think the logo, you might need the B and the E to be obviously clever so people can kind of see it. But maybe this is a boat company or a company that specializes in the restoration of crowns. I don't know. And the B and the E is just a nice nod that we don't need to see as a customer. And actually this is fine. I don't know. I can only go off what I see. Yeah, I like the font. Again, I don't know what it's for, so I'm kind of just looking at it as a font. It's clean. Sharp edges on the logo. It matches. Not crazy about the S, but it's fine. It's difficult to give much more than that without having any context as to what this is actually for. On its side, it looks like a sharp drawing of an eye. I'm not seeing it myself, but I do like this. This is nice. A nice kind of just showing how the logo was constructed. And when you do kind of work like this with like a grid, or you work with this level of precision, you're always going to get an end result that is superior. Superior in the sense that, I'm not going to be nitpicky about those little details. The little details, the spacing and everything is going to be perfect. It's going to be tight because, there is kind of some grid or some sort of mathematical precision that means that, the bits that need to be kind of smooth or the bits that need to be consistent, whatever it is, the gaps, the angles, they are going to be consistent. So I think it's actually the process. The process is incredibly, and maybe that's a good video actually to do. The importance of the actual process that will determine the end result. Because if you use the wrong tools, for example, you don't have like a grid or a set of guides or something you're working to, you're setting yourself up to get an end result that's going to look wonky, rubbish, not as good as it could. And I think just by having a better process, you can make your work look super professional even if you've not been in the game for very long. Tanvir, hello. Do you have a video on logo presentation? I'm afraid not. I don't. Oh no, I've missed a bunch of the stream. I know. Sorry, Quinton. We're doing a slightly earlier one today because I've got a crazy day and I've got to rush off for a haircut that I've got to go to any minute. I'm going to try and do one Friday morning. That's Friday morning UK time. I've got my boys later this week while Poppy's away. So, you know, if I can do one, it'll be Friday morning, but I'll let you know on the channel. I'm going to be honest, I just add the rulers and all that to just show up as if I am super professional, but I am just not. Yeah, you just make the logo and then throw on the guides after. Yeah, that's how I did it. I mean, I don't use grids and guides for logos a lot, very rarely actually, but I do work with precision. So I work by using the tools to align things, and if I'm eyeballing something, because I just have to, I zoom in thousands of %. 64,000% Illustrator can go to. If you can line stuff up at 64,000%, you're probably good, you know? A video on the process would be amazing. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking about like ways that I can make, I don't know whether it's kind of more videos or courses or things that are really going to help people overcome these things, because on these streams I'm noticing that, and you probably noticed this as well, is that I'm seeing a lot of the same mistakes every single week, and I probably sound like a broken record. Oh, you've got to tighten up your spacing and blah 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 blah. I am finding myself saying the same thing, so I do wonder if there's something that I could make that would cover all of this. Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of where my head's at. You know, I'm trying to think about ways that I can take all this stuff out of my brain and actually put it into content or courses or whatever, just to kind of, I guess, help people more. Tommaso, I really love these live sessions. Jihad, love from Bangladesh. Thank you both. Hey, just thought I'd take the chance for having helped me a lot when I was starting out as a designer. I'll take the chance. I'm not sure what take the chance means, but thank you. Oh my goodness. The Dropbox uploads are coming in. Oh wow, my inbox is going wild. 17 new emails. Yeah, so I'm going to open up the submissions for an entire week, and then we'll shut them down and then do loads of design review. Speaking of kiddos, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I'm alive. Sorry. Speaking of kiddos, ever thought of doing kid-friendly tutorials? How do you mean kid-friendly? Just, I mean, I think generally I'm kid-friendly, or do you mean literally trying to teach children design, like young children? I don't know. That could be interesting. Bless you. Oh, thank you. Yes, Reese, package something up and send it. I want to see your work. Your beard is saying he needs a new cut. He absolutely is. I tried to cut it the other day with a straight blade razor, and it was it's a bit wonky. Mini course, common mistakes and how to avoid design pitfalls, says Mike. Yeah, that is, I mean, I'll be honest, that is something I'm thinking about. You know, just smaller kind of bits of content or courses that cover very specific things that I think would help people, and mistakes that I see people making over and over again. Yeah, that's the way my brain thinks. It's like, right, hang on, this is a problem that keeps happening. I can solve this by making a thing. That's kind of where my head's at. At kids' pace. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've got my eldest is 7 years old, and I'm sort of teaching him Adobe Dimension at the moment, and he's loving that. Right, I've really got to go, guys. I'm going to be late, and my barber Joe is gonna tell me off. I'm working on the fire and ice logo problem that came up in a stream recently. Ooh, right, Quinton, when you finish that, please, man, you got to send that. I really want to see that. I've got a version that I've kind of half finished and put to one side, but I would love to see what you do with that, because that was an interesting one. Maybe beginner friendly. Okay, amazing. Right, I've got to run, guys. You've been thicker revived. Mike, no. We don't talk about the thicker. Once you are done, share the new haircut. Have a great day, Dan. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Floyda. Thank you, dear designer. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'll let you know about Friday. It'll either be Friday morning UK time, or we'll have to just give it a miss this week because kids. But, you know, what can you do? But, yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you later in the week.